What's up, weirdos, and welcome to Universe of Weirdos. It is me, Jay Kraft, brother man extraordinaire and the mother hucker of all of podcasts, here to put love in your heart and watch it grow. And we are here for another podcast review episode because, well, I caught some backlash from something that I did back in November from Opie Radio himself, and I know it was Opie Radio himself because, well, he's pretty transparent with this stuff, and people on the internet are onto your scams there, Opie. So, as you guys know, sometimes on this podcast, I like to do little podcast reviews. I'll go back, I'll listen to old Ron and Fez episodes and talk about how awesome they are. I've listened to Michael Ray Bauer's Donkey Lips' YouTube channel and talked about how awful he was. And the very first one that I ever did was back in November. I did a review of Opie Radio when he decided to make the claim that he was one of 5 podcasts who should actually exist. So I decided, let's go over Opie's podcast and see if it really is one of the 5 podcasts that are entertaining enough to withstand the test of time, and it's not. Gregg Opie Hughes is formerly of the Opie and Anthony show. Back in the day on, WNEW. They were on some major radio markets, but then they were on XM satellite radio. And, they're a big influential thing as far as podcasts go. Like the Opie and Anthony show pretty much built the modern format of podcasting of just dudes talking about regular random shit. And throughout the years, the group is split up. Opie, Anthony, and Jim Norton have all gone their separate ways. Common enemy seeming to be Opie because he seems to be intolerable to work with, burns a lot of bridges behind the scenes. Everybody has gone on to degrees of success. Jim Norton's still killing it in stand-up, still doing a very successful podcast. Anthony Cumia went on to do Compound Media and is now back on his own radio show. And Opie his focus is absolutely doing a YouTube stream every morning for like 30 people and trying to get whatever super chat money that he can get. Now, he will tell you in his podcast that his priority with his podcast is to get as many audio podcast downloads as possible because that's part of his, business model, apparently. When in reality, it's absolutely the YouTube comments. That's the only way this dude makes money. And I'm going to go through that in a little bit. But I did this review on Opie's show back in November. And suddenly, about 2 weeks ago, I found it very strange that multiple seemingly fake people started commenting on that episode that I did back in November. And I started getting feedback that all sounded like it was being written by the same person, like back to back to back, all in like a day. So it was very obviously the same person that was doing this. So like all of the comments came from the same exact person, just under different accounts. And I've seen and I've educated myself enough with Opie's recent antics to know that there are all kinds of LI Clan, which is the one of the accounts that commented on my shit 10 minutes after one of the other ones commented on my YouTube video version of that, which I'm going to get into because it seems like what I think happened was Opie discovered my podcast, Dabbling with Opie Radio, a podcast delusion. I think he found that one, about 2 weeks ago and decided to comment on it, even though it seems like I'm too small time to be on your radar, Opie. Why are you wasting your time with me? Even though my podcast is absolutely, I'm going to prove it in just a moment, undeniably more successful than yours. I'm going to bring up some numbers. I mean, obviously this is an audio podcast, so it's going to be a little bit, I'm not going to be able to show receipts, but I can read receipts for sure. Now, what happened here was immediately, the LI clan was like, watch what you say about the Opster. It's going to be the worst decision you've ever made. And it's like, well, I mean, how though? Because like he's not necessarily somebody who's like a force in podcasting, like he'll give you such biting commentary as this is Opie's anti um this is Opie's anti-air conditioning rant, which he's saying that because he can't afford a fucking electric bill in the summer, and if his AC goes out, he can't afford to fix it because he's talked about that on his podcast before. So here's some biting commentary here from Opie about air conditioning.
Human beings, because we can't fucking figure it out. It's 100 degrees, so you're sweating your balls off. You go into an establishment, you're like, okay, they're gonna have some AC. The problem is their AC is at 55 fucking degrees, and now you're freezing your balls off.
Yeah.
And now your sweat is literally freezing to your body. Make up your mind. Are we gonna sweat or freeze to death? This back and forth all day long drives me nuts.
I'm a fan
people
of air
get sick.
conditioner. I'm a fan of
people get sick. See, be a man knows.
Okay, yeah, let's everybody talk over each other right here at the end, huh? Yeah, Be a Man knows what he's talking about. That was from an episode that he did where he had a guest that's like, I guess, some sort of TikTok dude named he calls himself Be a Man, which is one thing that I gotta say is really stupid about this modern time of the internet of like, I call myself the name of my YouTube channel or like my screen name on TikTok. Like, why can't that guy, like, why does he have to be called Be a Man? Because his fucking account's called Be a Man. Like, why can't you just be Jeff or whatever the fuck your actual real name is? Like, I would find it really weird if I went on somebody's podcast as a guest and they wanted to call me Universe of Weirdos. It's like, no, that's not my name. That's the name of my show. Dude, that's kind of weird. Oh, hey, look. Hey, it's Tonight Show. What's up, dude? Hey, what's up, Tonight Show? Like, wouldn't that be strange to fucking call somebody that? But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of awesome stuff that you get off of Opie Radio's podcast. That episode with Be a Man, by the way, I'm looking right now, has 69 views on YouTube. So I'm going to get into that in a second because one of the other people that commented on my thing wanted to dress me down in every way possible, which they wanted to attack my YouTube views, which this is an audio podcast. My YouTube views do not matter for what I'm trying to do. The stuff on YouTube is just my RSS feed being automatically sent over to YouTube. I don't expect anyone to listen to a podcast on a video streaming service where there's no video. It's just a logo of my podcast. I would assume people would listen to it and maybe hear the first minute or so and then decide maybe I'll download this on my thing. I've actually really considered taking all of my stuff off of YouTube because kind of the only like feedback that I get off of YouTube, even when it's positive, is, hey, this was a really good episode, but you need to throw some video on this. And it's like, well, this is an audio show, which is what I find really interesting with the comparison to me and Opie Radio, because Opie Radio claims to be an audio-focused podcast, and that is their focus, is to be an audio podcast, even though we stream live on YouTube and read super chats every single morning. So that's a little bit weird. But this other person, they attacked my YouTube views, decided to talk about how Opie's a millionaire and I'm never going to make money doing this, even though I already have. So, like I do well as far as like financially. I don't talk about money on my show because it's not part of what I'm trying to do to entertain people. But in my personal financial life, I do all right. I do perfectly fine. I don't have a house in the Hamptons, and I don't have a house in Philly and a penthouse apartment in Manhattan. But I also don't have to grift to open mic New York comics into giving me free co-hosting gigs with shitty promises of, yeah, once I get back on radio, which I never will because I burned every bridge, I'll just take you guys along with me, even though you won't. If Opie ever gets another job on like satellite radio or regular terrestrial radio, this dude Tony P and Ron the waiter are not going to be along for the ride. It's just not going to fucking happen. But, so, the other person 10 minutes after LI Clan, or maybe 10 minutes before, I don't remember the whole timeline of events here. But as soon as that person commented, this person decided, you don't have any YouTube views, and you don't have any money, and Opie's a millionaire, and all of this shit, which, okay, fine. Yeah, Opie did make millions of dollars by being on a successful radio show where there were two very funny people on the show that made it a success. The people that were not Opie, by the way. Don't be confused. I'm not talking about Opie and Anthony. I'm talking about Anthony and Jim Norton. Opie just pressed fucking sound effect buttons and made took phone calls as punchlines because he wasn't funny enough to come up with shit. Let's go to Snowy in Michigan. Snowy, come on, give me here's Stephen S. from Bayshores coming in on the instant feedback. That was his contribution. He was never funny enough to fire out good lines, and he got resentful from all of the people that were on the show being funny. So Opie doesn't have a leg to stand on as far as a future in radio. And, you can say whatever you want about his numbers, about his millions. We're going to go over that in just a second. But here's what I want to play from Opie Radio's podcast just to show you that, well, you didn't say anything about his content, because what about stuff like this from his YouTube shorts where him and Ron the waiter want to talk about Trump having to poop in a bag? So what do you think about this one here?
The NATO summit in Turkey with a suitcase full of poo-poo and urine.
Poo-poo.
Because it is of high national security.
You gotta think the Trump poop bag is slushy, like a whole bunch of Jell-O. Bringing that bag over your shoulder like Santa Claus as you're coming back from
Santa
Turkey.
Claus.
Oh my God.
I picture it more like the suitcase with the nuclear code. So it's got the suitcase with and he's got the fucking handcuff, and he's got the presidential pee-pee.
Yeah, what else does he
Under
have?
his breath, he's going, I
Ron.
went to college for this shit. Are you kidding me? This is what I do with my degree.
You're a fucking radio professional. Like, we're going to talk about, if we're going to talk about like comparing my podcast to Opie's podcast, definitely Opie in my comments section on YouTube, then let's compare some content, because I'm constantly delivering good podcasts. I get positive feedback all the time. My download numbers are up across the board on like all kinds of platforms. I am up there a lot better than you are, a lot better off than you are. And let's talk about that, because let's talk about the 20 views. Your video has 20 views. You were one of them. You pathetic motherfucker. You wasted your time to fucking go through that and then decided to comment on it. And I'm only doing this episode because I know you're going to listen to it, Opie. That's why I'm doing it, is because I know you're going to listen, you're going to rage, you're going to fucking write, yeah, well, you're a fucking loser and you're a this and this. And I'm like, whatever. Go touch grass, man. Go do something else. Go fucking watch the new Jackass movie. I heard that they didn't put Bam in that one, so you might be comfortable sitting in the fucking theater for that one, you fucking piece of shit. Fucking, you lost that lawsuit, didn't you? Where somebody claimed that your wife had a sex tape with Bam Margera, and then you sued them for it, and then you lost that lawsuit? Why was that? What happened there? But anyways, that's not important. Let's go over a little bit of numbers here, because I have some public numbers. Now, Opie likes to say that his downloads are what his priority is as far as podcasting goes. Now, right here, I have a screenshot from Opie Radio's public download numbers that I have from my podcast provider, Podbean. It looks like Opie has 1,000 episodes of his podcast, meaning he has way more than 1,000 episodes, because, he does fucking 5 or more episodes a week. So he's been going for years and years and years. So thousands of podcasts, over 1,000 anyways. It looks like he has a total of 8.6 thousand downloads as far as, this is 2 weeks ago when I screenshotted this. Well, July 2nd was when I screenshotted this. So then let's see, today, which would be, as I am recording this, it is July 15th. So Let's check out his numbers. It was 8.6 thousand, all right, on that 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, my numbers were 7.8K downloads. Today, we are at Opie Radio still has 8.6 thousand downloads. So the downloads are the priority of your podcast, not the YouTube video, not the super chat money. It's the downloads that is the success of your podcast. And so within 2 weeks, that's about 10 podcasts or more that you've uploaded since I took that screenshot, and you haven't even gotten 100 downloads in those 2 weeks. So you're still at 8.6K. I mean, granted, yeah, a lot of people could be streaming your stuff. That doesn't add to your download numbers because, you know, it's just how things work. And as of today, I am at 8.1K and I am at 98 episodes. Opie, you're over 1,000. I'm at 8.1. You're at 8.6. So, I mean, yeah, you can diminish my YouTube numbers all you want. It's not a priority of mine. It's not a focus of mine creatively. I'm not trying to be a YouTuber. I'm not trying to go live and get super chat money from hate watchers, the 20 hate watchers. I'm one of them sometimes, by the way. If I start doing some stuff in the morning and I see that Opie Radio's live, I tune in because it's funny. It's funny to see the fall from grace. It's kind of jarring too sometimes because you're like, man, this guy used to be great, but karma really kicked the shit out of you. Cake stomping motherfuckers and throwing ladies poker chips and doing all of the things that you thought were funny, but were actually just an asshole move to be mean. Like that's karma catching up with you, man. All the homeless people you fucked with over the years, all the fatty pig fatties that you've made fun of, it's all resorted in you being cash poor like a motherfucker. And speaking of Opie being cash poor like a motherfucker, here's another one for Opie's a millionaire and you're never gonna make money doing this. Here's a clip that I pulled for you of Opie definitely flaunting his wealth and talking about how much money he has. So let's go over this one.
One of my kids' friends' fathers. One of my kids' friend's father, I guess it would be, right?
Yes.
He's an Uber driver. He was telling me all the ins and outs, and I'm like, this is starting to sound good. I would be the early guy. No one wants to drive early.
He was trying
Pop in my car around 4, do some Ubers. I mean,
that's the thing with Uber.
The guy's making more money than me. I'll tell you right the hell now for the people that are wondering.
Oh, okay.
He's making more money than me, and I'm like,
so,
this job doesn't sound that bad.
So an Uber driver is making more money than you. But Opie's a millionaire. You're never going to make any money doing. I make more money than an Uber driver. My daily gigs, I make more money than an Uber driver, and that's for damn sure. It sounds like it's going to be a pretty good fucking thing, man. I can start driving around. This is your hero. This is the guy that you're standing up for, even if you're not Opie. Let's go with the narrative that you are some random person who just discovered my Opie thing and decided to, clap back at me about the old Opester. This is the dude that you hitch your wagon to, a guy who's going like, hey, I might start driving Uber because, like, hey, that don't suck. I bet you he would make more money doing Uber than he would make in his YouTube live stream, because I know that he doesn't make any money in his YouTube live stream, really, because I see it come in. I mean, like $37 today. And then there's also, I've been watching a decent amount of other people talk about Opie lately. Like there's this whole like Burning Bridges documentary about Opie that's in like 3 or 4 parts right now. That's really good. Sounds like it's narrated by the old lady trucker. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, but it kind of sounds like her voice, the old caller from the Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez show, which, by the way, Opie, I was much more of a Ron and Fez fan. Fucking Ron and Fez was so much better than Opie and Anthony because, especially if fucking Anthony or Jim Norton weren't there that day, it was just like, Ron and Fez is far superior to you and always was. And I think he was jealous of that, and that's why he tried to go after Fez a lot. But, whatever. He smelled weakness in Fez Whatley and tried to just, like, fucking take him down and, whatever. Opie was a dickhead. I have actually, like, a lot of people that have known, like, the players of Opie and Anthony personally. I knew somebody who did a lot of stand-up with, actually, way back in the old day before this person sadly passed away, who was on Opie and Anthony on a regular basis and actually told me that Opie was a prick. He was like, yeah, Opie, I think the words that he used was a bitch baby. He said that he was a bitch baby and that he resented the funny people that he was around. And he actually told my friend no, I don't think that he told him not to come back, but he was just basically written off as persona non grata after being on many different versions, different episodes of the Opie and Anthony show. Told him that he couldn't come back because one time Anthony wasn't in studio and he decided to bust Opie's balls by saying something about how the funny guy wasn't there, or, this is the kind of humor we get when Anthony's not in studio, something along those lines. And then my friend was not asked to come back to Opie and Anthony anymore ever again. But yeah, so anyways, Opie Radio, so that brings me to my last point that I want to make here, just to kind of wrap up this whole, you fired shots, granted, I drew first blood, I guess, by making fun of you, saying you're one of 5 people who should be doing podcasts, when really you might be one of 5 people that should be doing Uber driving. So I'll give you that. I'll let you drive me around, Gregg Opie Hughes. As long as you don't have too much wine in your system from the night before, because I see those purple lips on that stream. That comes from heavy wine abuse from the night before. Opie likes the reds, I guess. He likes himself a nice Sauvignon, or I don't know if that's a fucking red wine even. I haven't drank in fucking 12 years, so I wouldn't know. But Opie's priority is the downloads, right? That's the thing, is like, it doesn't matter if you want to point out that him and Be a Man on YouTube have fucking 69 views and he wants to go on people's audio feed and say, you have 20 video watchers of this, whatever. I don't care. But here's the thing with Opie's download numbers, right? That we just went over, how he hasn't even come up with an extra 100 in like a week. This is his strategy on the downloads. Do you want to hear it? I had to pull this one from Who Are These Podcasts? They did an episode somewhat recently that had Opie in it, and I saw this clip on YouTube. And I've heard Opie say this before on his streams. I just never really wrote down like when he said it or what the episode was. I never made a mental note of what the episode was where he said it on. So I'm really glad that I found this episode of Who Are These Podcasts. I clipped this from the episode of Who Are These Podcasts because he finally repeated this and actually has Ron the Waiter on board with how he wants to increase his download numbers. So again, you might hear some of the Who Are These Podcast guys in the background being like, Jesus, and shit like that. But this is what he has to say. This is his strategy for growing his podcast as far as download numbers go. Not trying to hit international markets, not trying to encourage people to download instead of stream, or, all of the different ways that you can manipulate algorithms. I ain't giving you any fucking tips, Opie. I've grown a lot in the last couple of months, and basically it's come from finding a lot of European listeners. It's been, that's been really successful for me in growing the podcast. The European people really like their audio podcasts, especially people from like Norway and like Poland and stuff. I get a lot of downloads from those countries. So I don't know, focus on not doing so much New York City centric fucking topics and try to appeal to a broad range of people. And then maybe people from fucking Romania will listen to you like they listen to me. But here's Opie's strategy, okay? Here we go. From Who Are These Podcasts, by the way.
Figure out our fucking shit money-wise. So I get that. But what's important is to hit the like and to listen to these on a podcast app. That costs nothing, and it really helps us.
By the way.
Now, I will agree with that. And again, I don't know why, but I've actually seen clips of people talking shit on Opie going like, I don't know if this is actually true. It is actually true that when you're doing like an audio-specific podcast, like the download numbers actually matter, and like the stream, because like a lot of podcast hosts only stream the shit, so you don't even get download numbers from certain podcasts. But it really does, as far as appealing to advertisers and stuff like that, your download numbers. So like the people that actually download the MP3 rather than just stream it directly, it does matter. And I personally don't know why, and I don't actually care why. So I just know that it does matter. So I am with Opie on this one. The download numbers actually do matter a little bit more than you would like them to, and it's stupid, but it is a thing that you have to do. But here's what he wants people to do as far as downloading and listening to his podcast.
Really? As important as getting money from Super Chats, it's even more important. Dude, as Ron Propel's thing.
It's Ron Papel, not Ron Papel, you fucking dummy, but go ahead.
Said, right. Set it and forget it. Just fucking hit play on the podcast and go fucking give yourself a pickle tickle.
Unlike Trump, I don't need to go
holy
so
shit.
if you just push play and don't even listen to a word, I don't care.
Yeah, so that's his strategy. Press play on my podcast, don't listen to it, mute your phone and just play multiple episodes at a time. Okay, so this brings me to my other question is how the fuck can you not get like at least 100 downloads in a week, right? Because I'll admit this, even though I don't think that it's anything that's, shameful or anything, but I have 3 different podcast apps on my phone and I subscribe to Universe of Weirdos on all 3 of them. I mean, that only gives me 3 downloads. That kind of fudge the numbers, so that doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. But like, I don't know, Opie, don't you have like an old phone that doesn't work anymore? Can't you just press play on it and set it down on a counter and just walk away? How come between you and Ron the waiter and Tony P, you just playing your podcast and walking away doesn't translate to 100 downloads within 2 weeks? I don't think anybody's listening to you. I don't think anybody gives a fuck about you. I don't think anybody cares about Opie Radio as far as a podcast goes. You're a lol cow now. That's what you are. You're not anything that anybody takes seriously. You're not anything that anybody wants to look at as a piece of entertainment other than to just make fun of. You're just like Donkey Lips at this point. You're somebody that people watch to laugh at and mock and make fun of and then farm for their own content. So that's what it is. And the more that you buy into it, the more they keep doing it. So that's going to be it for me for this week. And I don't really have anything else that I want to say about this mother hucker. Opie, why don't you go put a shotgun in your mouth and inhale the sweet, refreshing taste of buckshot? Because no one gives a fuck about you anymore. I don't think they have in several years, and you're just a source of somebody to be made fun of. So I'll see all of you other guys next time, because I know Opie ain't going to listen to another episode unless it's about him specifically. So it was nice to have you, Gregg, but you can go on about your life now and maybe give Doggy a bath and check on your family and see if they're still living. They certainly don't give a fuck about you anymore. That's one thing that has become pretty obvious from watching your videos. But if you guys want to help out my podcast, you can always download it instead of stream it. It does help, right, Opie? And you can rate, review, subscribe, give a 5 stars or a positive rating or review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Hey, if it's multiple podcasts, download it 2 or 3 times. I don't give a fuck. It's all about the download numbers, right? It's all about aesthetics. It's all about showing people, look what I can do, rather than actually doing something good that you can be proud of. It's more about the appearance, right? It's all aesthetics and numbers. And look, I got 10,000 downloads today. Who gives a fuck? Just pay for downloads. If that's what your fucking goal is just to go look at how cool and how many downloads I have, just go fucking pay for them. I'm sure there are services like that out there. I've gotten fucking pitched them in my emails before, which, if you would like to email me, you can. UniverseOfWeirdos@gmail.com. You can find me on social media, but I don't do anything on there. I am jcraft 24/7 on Twitter/X. I haven't posted on there in months, to be completely honest with you. Instagram, I do post an AI-generated image that I make every time I am waiting for my podcast to mix down and save to an MP3 format. I generate an AI image of whatever I just finished talking about, so maybe I'll generate one of me making fun of the Opester to promote this one and post on Instagram. But you can find me on there, Universe of Weirdos. It's nothing but AI slop, so I don't suggest it. But if you want to know when a new episode's coming out, I guess you can see a goofy picture every time I post one. But aside from that, I will see you guys next time for episode 100, and I will be talking about my glorious, triumphant romp into the world of comedy and what it was like to be a funny guy growing up and what it was like to just be a funny person in general. Opie wouldn't know anything about that. He was more of the frat boy douche guy who likes to call people gay and break their stuff as his form of comedy. But episode 100, I'm going to tell you all about my journey into being funny. So be prepared for that. And until then, I am blasting off. See ya!